Hi, this is the newest season of the KOPI SELEM podcast at Minikino Film Week 8. It's now the 8th Minikino Film Week, and I've been your podcast host for the third year. I'm Nosan Armanda. I'm a filmmaker, anthropologist, and the founder of Monday Blank Film Workshop. And this is like the third episode of this season podcast. And here with me, I've got international programmers, international filmmakers, and national filmmaker who is also international filmmaker. Yeah. We just watched the Bogota short surprise screening in Minikino. Surprise, that means you can't find it in the program, and we are very delighted that we have the director of Bogota Short Film Festival here. Let I'm gonna let him introduce himself. Okay, who are you?
Yeah.
Again?
I am Jaime Manrique. I'm director of BOGOSHORTS, Bogota Short Film Festival. This is a festival with 20 years. We have the next edition, the 20 years edition, in the next December, between the 6th and 13th of December. And it's a festival who tries to work very near with the filmmakers, not only in Colombia, in Latin America, for trying to make some connections for them and trying to put the short films in the big screenings and the big screens. And I think that the film festivals is like I know which is the word in English, cantera, like in football, when the players is beginning, yeah,
Okay.
and they need support, and they need that the people and the institution understand his work, and Bogoshore's trying to do this job. And for other side, I am director of communication for feature films. I have a company in Colombia that calls Laboratorios Black Velvet, and Black Velvet is my company, is the owner of BOGOSHORTS, and we're trying to design the strategies for the connection between the public, the audience, and the feature films for the Colombian cinema.
Okay. Well, thank you. Wow. Okay. Minikino is in its 8th year, and Bogoshot is its 20 years. So we're gonna talk more about it later on, especially about how to develop the festival and how does the ecosystem work there. But later on, second guest is you are.
Hello, my name is Annabella Schnabel, and I'm a Hungarian film director and screenwriter. And I arrived here with my graduation film called Mom's Cat, which is was ending my film directing masters at University of Theatre and Film Arts, which is the most oldest and the film school in Hungary. So yeah, I'm very happy and honored to be here, and I really love the festival. So yeah, currently besides filmmaking, I'm teaching at a digital high school called Európa 2000 in Budapest. And it's a Microsoft Showcase high school, so we have very cool studios with the students, and yeah, I teach their film and media.
Okay, thank you, Annabella. Now Annabella, this is your first time to Minikino, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the first time to make a podcast ever, so
Okay.
I'm shaking.
The first time. And as a first timer, she's quite amazing because if you go here in Minikino Film Week 8, she's like an instant celebrity. I mean, most of the filmmakers that I've met is amazed with her film Mom's Cat, and always like asking around to her. If she's not around, they started to asking me. which I don't have no idea how to explain because I'm not the director of the film. But yeah, I'm trying my best because she's one person and she cannot be all around. Now that's the instant celebrity. Now I'm not talking about the not instant celebrity because this guy has been all over the festival. If you heard the film Lika Liku Laki, yeah, this is the director, and you are.
Hello, everyone. My name is Khozy Rizal. I am a filmmaker. Um, Specifically, I'm a film director and producer. I founded an independent production house based in Makassar. It's a small city in Indonesia, located in the eastern side of Indonesia. It's called Hore Pictures. It's founded in 2020, and we have produced like 3 short films, including Makassar is a city for football fans, or Lika Liku Laki, and Right to Nowhere. And those 2 films are included in this year's edition of Minikino Film Week. And we just finished producing Basri and Salma in a Never Ending Comedy, which probably will be released next year. And it's been like 3 days for me in Minikino, and it is really pleasant to be here. I'm enjoying the festival very much. So thank you so much for having me
Yeah.
for this podcast.
Thank you for coming, Gozi. Yes, and yesterday we were talking in Bahasa Indonesia. We were talking with Alex Sasono, a film critics, and Harry, a filmmaker also, who was also quite a celebrity because yeah, he was almost like everywhere in festivals. He was so observant, and he was like someone who is really, really, doesn't have any shame in terms of getting his film screen or asking strangers questions that sometimes are, according to him, are stupid questions. But yeah, he doesn't that kind of shame. And today we have Annabelle and Cozy. I think it's the same level. So this year's podcast is kind of so focused on local celebrity among the Indonesian cinephiles. So yeah, but I'm gonna try to ask the celebrity among programmers, which is of course Jaime, the celebrity among programmers. So yeah, the festival directors of Minikino, when they were inviting me, there's this huge promotion of you, like. You gotta be there because Jaime is gonna be there. You gotta be there. Like, okay, like they're like overselling you. Like, wow, okay, but yeah,
Maybe because it's because Colombia is so far.
no, what?
Maybe it's not for the importance of Pogo Shorts of me. It's because the country is very far.
I quite disagree because when I researched about you, and you can find it in YouTube, you can find Bogo Shorts in YouTube, and you will be amazed of how huge this festival is. So we're gonna make this kind of structure in this podcast. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about what is Bogota now with all its image of how the festival is being run. I want to know what do you see now in Bogo Shorts, and filmmakings in Latin America and South America. And then the same, I'm gonna ask about that to Annabelle, your career now, and Cozy, your career now, and then we're gonna retrospect a bit how you get there. So yeah, Jaime, what do you think of Bogo Shorts and filmmaking in Latin America today? Over to you, over to you.
Okay. We have a very special moment. Yes, moment in the life of Colombian cinema, because it's not only the birth of 20 years of Bogo Shorts, it's the 20 years of a law of cinema in Colombia that permits has a fund for support the Colombian short films, feature films, short films, documentaries, animation. And that was in these 2 decades a very big contribution for my country to the history of Latin American films. Maybe in 2023,
2003.
2003, we have one or two feature films in the screens. And in the last year, we have 40 films.
Wow, okay.
It's the very big change in the ways to produce, ways to find money, ways to find the right people. Is a one moment special for the development of the school cinemas. And for Bogoshort, this moment is the moment to celebrate all this history, because it's the story of cinematography that begins very small and is growing up, and it's the story of a festival who have his beginning in a bar with 3 or 5 friends. We're trying to see short films in a bar with a beer. And that was growing and growing and growing up, and we are now a film festival qualifying for the Oscar or for the Goya. We have the opportunity to make this connection with festivals in all over the world. And maybe what's happened now in Colombia, in Bogota, is the result of the work of many people. Many people trying to do the dream of Colombian cinema could be true. And that is the moment.
Well, okay. So good to hear. What about you, Annabelle? What do you think about your career today and about your own country and the ecosystem that you see in your own in Hungary?
Wow, this is a very, very complex question, and early in the morning, I hope I can answer it properly. So how? Maybe I start with myself because that's more personal. So currently, with my graduation film, I just got eligible to be submitted to the Student Academy Awards by its festival circuit. So the first premiere of it was at the A-listed Moscow International Film Festival. Then it was in Nashville, Rhode Island Film Festival, and Melbourne. So yeah, I'm very excited for the next year, and I think this is a milestone in my career, and I hope it will be helping me to get into making a feature. And talking about making a feature, so I'm preparing to a Hungarian feature lab. It's called Incubator Program, and it's run by the Hungarian National Film Fund. And so it's like getting your treatment, 6 page long, and then after you might get into pitching your idea, and then you might get to chance to make a film. And so I'm preparing on this. But I think there are other movements flourishing nowadays in Hungary, beside the incubator. Since it's ruled by the government, it has certain topics which is favored or others are not. Of course, it's like their money. They can suppose find out who to give to. But so this independent filmmaking started to open recently. And so there are these amazing directors from, György Pálfi, who made Taxidermia, for example, or Hajdu Szabolcs, who made Bibliothèque Pascal, or Bence Frigaú from, Rengeteg. And so it's like they started to make their features by their own. So it's like they are the renegades of the system. And it's very encouraging to see it can happen. And with features as well. But there are other short options. Like, so I made, after Mom's Cat, I made a short film called Triptych of the Keeper. And I'm not sure that I'm supposed to say where it will premiere, because this is an official thing, and it's just to still have like a few days to announce, maybe in the mid-September. But yeah, a big London festival. Maybe I can just say this, and I'm very excited about that. So that was made on a competition called Új Közjáték series last year, and we finished this year. And so it's like it was coming from the 70s and the 80s, where people like fiction film directors got the chance to make experimental films. So this is like an experimental movement, which was like revived in the last years, and I think it's very, very good chance to get like out of the classical storytelling. Yeah, this.
Wow.
I think it's kind of like yeah. What can I say now?
From what you hear, you can know that in Hungary, there's already some sort of system or structure on how you make films, especially feature or shorts, and the development is it's I don't think it's something that is I don't think it's something that is uncommon in European. Don't you think? I mean, it's the style is strong, and the culture of filmmaking is already in a way that could provide filmmakers with lots of, I don't know, references and specific references. Actually, when I heard about these new filmmakers that you just telling me about. Now, how about you, Khozy? I wanna know what you're up to these days, and I wanna know what you think about filmmaking, especially short films in Indonesia, in your perspective.
I would say it's so far it's kind of hard for me to like make short films in Indonesia, especially if we're talking about funding, because for short film grant in Indonesia is pretty low, I would say, and they were really very low capacity, like in terms of they only like pick 10 short film projects per year, and in terms of like terms and conditions are pretty restricted. Like you cannot make films about LGBTQ theme. You cannot make films that contains violence and profanity and stuff like that. So it's really hard for you to like to be wild, you know, and in terms of making it, and the budget as well is not, it's pretty limited. So it has to be contains very little scenes and locations. So yeah, it's very hard for you to make like a crazy film if you want to get funding from the government. And three of my films, two of them are funded by the international investors, which is kind of sad for me, because the international more like giving money than my own country. So I think I think the government has been very helpful in terms of certain parts. Like if our short film selected at the international festival, that will help us to get there. But there are also like terms and conditions. For example, you cannot go to the LGBT film festivals. Yeah, which is kind of sad for me. And yeah, I think also that the city government has to help the filmmakers in certain cities. Like I was so happy that like Yogyakarta has this like a Danais, if you know, like the city government helps the local filmmakers to make their films. They make the short films with a rational budget, which is I would love that in my city, but my city not really helpful in terms of that. I heard the story of from Harry. the city government also help the local filmmakers to make short films, but they only give like 500 $500 to make the short film, like, which is irrational. How can you possibly to make films with that kind of budget? So yeah, I think the government. I think we need to like to voice to the government that this is how actually the workflow of making films, like the budget, like everything, Yeah.
Yeah, there's I there are a lot of stimulus budget
Yeah.
in during this pandemic from Indonesian government, but it's so hard
Yeah.
in terms of the amount of the budget or the timeline of the production.
Yes.
Let's say the government could give you like $10,000, but you have to make your short films in less than a month. So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, wow. Okay, we're so super. Okay, I don't really like to see something, to see progress as something chronological. I'd like to see progress as something simultaneously parallel, and we could compare it, like comparing Indonesia to Colombia to Hungary. It's better than seeing which one is the most progressive one,
Yeah.
because I think everything is running simultaneously. But before we go to that part, I'd like to take a short break, like 1 minute break, so that our listener could pause and get a drink or something, or could think or ponder of what we've been saying. So see you in a minute, guys. Yeah, back again with me, Nosa, in KOPI SELEM, Mini Kino Film Week 8. And we're here with Jaime, Annabella, and Khozy again. So yeah, we're gonna enter the retrospective part of this podcast. So Jaime, during the 20 years of BOGOSHORTS and the 20 years of that law, means that you have passed how many government and or regime during those years? How many presidents have changed?
How many?
How many president?
Presidents.
President and policymakers have changed?
Maybe 5 presidents. Four presidents.
Four presidents, like no, okay. Can you tell us a little
And
bit?
we have in a very
Okay.
very strange moment in the history of the country, because maybe the last 50 years we are in the hands of right politicians,
Yeah.
because the country has many problems with the war, the guerrillas war, the war for narco traffic, and the governments of my country try to have a strong hand with the criminality. But 3 months ago, our new president is from the left.
Wow. Okay.
And this is a very special change, because everybody is waiting what happened with that, what means that the change.
From the start of BOGOSHORTS until today, I mean, four president have taken charge and make the policy. Could you tell us a little bit how this affect BOGOSHORTS in terms of political turmoil and the government support toward filmmaking in Colombia?
And many things are changing in this period, because I think the government is more open to different purposes. One of the things in my country is a country with too many different communities, and when the government started support to the cinema, is very central to the capital. And maybe in this year, when we begin, we have 5 or 6 film festivals. Now we have 120 film festivals, and this is this is a biggest development for these kind of events. And in, like you say, in retrospective, that what is happening in my country is that more communities need to see your own films, your own ways to say something to the world about they are. Um, in the support for the festival, we are growing up, not with the money government, with the international relations, with the private companies, with the sponsors. But that is because I think Bogoshorts trying to have a very high level of communication in all his work, and because second idea important of Bogoshort is not only a festival. Bogoshort is a movement for exhibition in different parts of the country, movement for exhibit short films Latin America in the other countries of Latin America, is a distribution company for short films, and is we have a special work with education.
Yeah. During the screening of Bogo Shorts a few minutes ago, you were telling the audience about how the government make regulations on commercial films, usually imported films, a ticket that is distributed to the local filmmakers or national filmmakers. Could you tell us about it more? About?
Yeah, in 2003 we have a law, a very important law for the development of our cinema. That this law have different tools for the support cinema, and one of these tools is the creation of a film fund, and the money for this film fund comes to the part 1% of the tickets of all the exhibitions in the country, no matter if it's Latin American films or European films or Hollywood films. And for that reason, it's very important that the people support C films. If some movie like Spider-Man goes very well in the screens, it's good for the Colombian cinema,
Yeah.
because we have a part of this money for make Colombian films, and that is the reason that why the country is growing up and growing up with the cinema. But we have another tools. One of these is, if you are in a private company and decides to put money in their films, the government reduces your taxes.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Other tool is, if you are an international company and you decide to film in Colombia, shoot in Colombia, you have a tax rebate. And this is very important because many international productions and Hollywood productions try to make these films in Colombia, and that increase the level of technicians. It's many ways to support the cinema.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Wow. That's something that we really got to uh imitate and adopt
Yeah.
here. I think. Yeah. Now, I want to ask Annabelle about her country and the film. Retrospectively. Sorry, that's because I got lack of sleep. Sorry, so my brain is kind of bleaching. Anyway, Annabelle.
For brain leak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
brain bleaching. Yeah. So I've watched your films and other short Hungarian films, and it was very well made. And I think what has been done in Bogota, it's also we can see the attempt to make what the Marxist Althusser says the ideological state apparatus in which government tries to support films and to develop culture in their own country. Now, how about you in Hungary? What happens?
Well, we, as far as I know, we also have this tax reducement on the filmmakers who are making features, I think. Whether they are in a co-production or, yeah, lots of Hollywood cinema makers are coming because Hungary, it's very cheap and it has lots of landscapes. So that's why in the past maybe 6 or 8 years, it's been flourishing, and due to that, the National Film Fund can stack up lots of money, which is amazing. However, so beside this incubator program, we have normal feature or TV film developing parts, but it's as I mentioned, it's like certain topics and certain interests, and so if you want to have more broad perspective, broad topics, you have to find your own friends to make with independently and from small money. But I think in this case, lack of money can be very inspirational because, for example, in the Triptych of the Keeper, I recently adapted, so we made it from a very, very small amount of money. And in the first row, I was thinking of like having extras, like in the very first shot, like passing through and just coming and passing to this doorway. But eventually I found out that I doesn't need that. I don't need to put my money on that because this would help to make the film more abstract level, what I wanted. So it's like lack of money can give you situations which can lead to creative decisions. And yeah, it's just your choice to like stick with it or not, think it through. It will help your film or not.
It's a challenge for the creativity. Don't have money.
Yeah, yes.
We are
exactly.
in a continuous challenge.
Yes, exactly.
But I remember one of the interview of Bong Joon-ho after he won the Oscar that he said that his film Parasite, he made it in a budget that is so low, so low if you compare it to his Hollywood works with Netflix, for example. And he said that kind of budget could make him focus more on his
Exactly.
creative side rather than too big budgets with so many interests in it. Like he could not really express his ideas in films. But I think I'm gonna ask Khozy about this too because I think we need to get to that kind of feelings when this is too high, the budget is too high. Like it's just like like an utopia for us. Like what? It's too high. Let's lower our budget.
I haven't reached that condition though. Yeah.
So could you tell us more retrospectively? Yes, retrospectively about your own career now, Khozy. How did you get here? Because from what I see, your film Lika-Liku-Laki is very well produced. The development is good, and I think I don't know it's have a high production value. How do you do that in terms of our context? You know.
Okay. So Lika-Liku-Laki was made from fully funded from the grant that I got from France. So little story. So before Lika-Liku-Laki, I made this one short. I filmed it with an iPhone 6, and it is like a 1 minute short film, very short, and I submitted it at this festival called Mobile Film Festival. So the festival challenges the filmmakers to make a short film, a 1 minute short film with an iPhone, and then my film won the Grand Prize International, and the film got a grant to produce another short. So that's where the money I get, and I got like probably like 20,000 euro, and I come back to my home, and people were so surprised, like what, like you can actually make like 5 short films in here with that kind of money. Yeah. So I made that film like there is no like any support from the government. Actually, it's all fully funded from production house in the France. Yeah.
Okay. You want to add something?
Yeah. So because I've been thinking of like maybe my previous films talking about like retrospectively, not just about the global system. So the University of Theatre and Film Arts, it was related to national funding as well. So our exam films, which was like closing a semester or something, could get a very small amount of money, but it was still like a good place to start. And so at the university, I made like 2 exam films before I made this graduation film. And the graduation film was getting a bigger funding on the from the government, because that's like, you know, like closing film directing masters. So but the producers decide, like there were 7 of us, and they decided how to cope with the total budget, like to give to each on each film. And also our teachers try to like keep us calm and just like don't make high estimation, or like don't expect huge money, and just try to calm down with your creative pursuits.
But if I were in a position where like I have this friends like who wanted to make this film together, like have this kind of high spirit to make this film, like no budget at all, that would be great. But there is no such filmmakers like that in my town.
Oh.
Yeah, so they were like, okay, we're besties, but I have children to feed, so you have to pay me high. Yeah.
I see. Well, I'm
Yeah.
so lucky to
Yeah.
meet my friends, and also like the university was very nice base to meet my future creative team.
How did you meet your connection, Khozy? I mean, you have this producer. I heard we talked like yesterday about your producers and your team. And how did you make the connection from Makassar actually?
Well, I was a creep back then, though. So when I got the money, the producer from the Paris, like, you have to like get a producer in Indonesia to like supervise you to produce the film. So I was like, who's gonna be the producer? I don't know anyone in this country. Like I'm no one. I'm not even filmmaker. I don't study film at all. Yeah. So I was sliding DMs to many producers in Indonesia. You name it, the big names. But then I slide DM to Tumpal Tampubolon. He's a screenwriter. He was actually like encouraged me to make the very short film that I mentioned, and I said thank you to him, like to encourage me to make the film. And I said, do you know any producer that probably will interested to produce my film? And he said, probably Mandy Marahimin will interested. So he connected me with Mandy Marahimin, she is a really big producer in Indonesia. And I got connected to her, and she read the script, and she loved it very much. But then she wanted to ask John Badalu. John Badalu is a producer, independent producer as well, and part of the Busan International Film Festival. He was also from Makassar, and he loves the script very much. Not very much. Like he hated it very much at the middle. He said like it's too soap opera. He said, and then he challenged me to like revise it to make it more like film, not soap
Yeah,
opera. Yeah,
yeah.
he was very good at that. And then Mandy has to leave the project because for some reason with a Parisian producer, and that was the moment that I worked with John, and John like really helped so much in terms of script and distribution, etc. Yeah,
Okay. Uh, uh, when you talk about that, about the funding, finding a producer, getting
yeah,
connected, it's I think it's the same for all filmmakers and festivals
yeah,
in terms of how to expand ourselves. Like we won't get anywhere without connections, right?
yeah.
So and I think the connections also create some sort of style in films. That's the thing that I want to ask Jaime. Uh, when we see the BOGO shirts selections for the surprise screening, uh, we see drama, we see a documentary which turns into fiction, yeah, with many kind of narrative style. But in terms of, for me as a film critic, also, I see that in terms of cinematic style, it's quite different from European films or Khozy's film, for example, is the style is so distinguished with neons and stuff like that. What can you tell us? A little bit overview about the connections between these film styles and the ecosystem in Latin America in making these films.
I think we have many directors and teams that have his formation, his schools in Europe, and that have a very strong influence in his way of to tell the stories. For one side, for other side, we don't have too much exhibition of different kind of films of Hollywood in Colombia. We don't have Asian or even Latin American, and that is very difficult because many filmmakers is been thinking and trying to do the things like Hollywood. Between these type of visions, we find some directors that try to find his own voice. And if you see these four films, we have many long shots, and the shots is like the way to discover and to find the taste of reality. And when I try to think about the style in Colombian short films, the style is many styles trying to find how to show a reality and different ways trying to find that.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe it's very difficult to take this idea, but these four films is a very little show the spectrum of the what is the Colombian cinema, because we have in this moment maybe 300 short films per year,
Yeah. Okay.
and this is four films
Yeah.
for 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yes. I'm very wondering what is Bogo Shorts all about. I'm gonna try my best to save my money and go there like as soon as possible. Anyway,
and
we
conduces our podcast.
yeah, and conduct a podcast there in Bahasa Indonesia. So no, in Spanish also probably. Okay. Too bad we don't have any more time because the duration of the podcast is being limited due to last year mistake. Because yeah, last year I was so excited with the podcast. Like we were talking like 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours, things that's supposed to happen in the festival itself. So if you guys, our listener, wanted to know more, you should come here. We still have a few days. Yeah, just crack your savings and go to Bali. Like right now, guys. Right now, book a flight. Okay. Now before we close this, I want to make a very what do you call it? I think a very good remarks or very memorable remarks. I want you guys to speak to your own audience out there in your own language, probably 1 or 2 sentences, as your closing remarks. I don't really care what it is. You can say that, don't come here, it's hell. It's okay. I won't know the difference. Please do your best. We're gonna start with
You.
me. I'm the host. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna start with myself. Okay, guys. Kesinilah. Datang sini, kita bisa party-party dan kurang tidur tapi happy ya. Silakan kesini ya. Okay, I'm gonna give it to Jaime.
Okay, for everyone.
With Spanish.
Definitivamente creo que este es un sitio muy especial para ver cortos. No solamente es especial, sino que tiene la posibilidad de jugar con los sentidos, con los sabores y con el tiempo. Al ser una isla al otro lado del mundo, pero los invito a todos, si hay gente que sabe español escuchando esto, que vengan a Bali, a Miniquino, y traten de entender las diferencias culturales, porque eso es lo que nos hace más ricos como seres humanos, pero también como gente que ama el cine.
Okay, applause. How come Spanish is so sexy? I just want to dance. Okay.
Yes, I am very sexy. Sorry.
Okay, so my message. Sziasztok! Talán a kamerába is nézzek? Nem tudom. Szóval hogy a Mini Kino Fesztivál annak ellenére, hogy Mini Kino, hatalmas szíve van, és elképesztő jó programok vannak, és nagyon szuper filmek, és szerintem mindenképpen gyertek és nevezitek a filmeteket, mert nagyon sokféle program van, és tüneményes emberek. Úgyhogy köszönöm, hogy itt lehetek. Yes. That's it. Yeah.
That one is of philosophy. It's like drinking too much wine.
Yes. Yeah.
If I drink too much wine, everybody
that in Hungary, like drinking too much.
No, Khozy.
Teman-teman, bikin filmmu sekarang juga dan lo submit ke Minikino and hopefully ke bahasa Inggris gue, jangan deh. Oke. Kalau film lo lolos, lu kudu datang ke sini karena Minikino is itu kan bahasa Inggris lagi gue. Keren banget.
Melting pot, guys.
Yeah.
Indonesia is a melting pot. It's like listening to, if listening to Annabelle is like drinking too much wine. Listening to Khozy is like drinking too much chiu. Chiu is a local drink. Guys, see you at the festivals. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.